Hello everyone. Once again, this is Vartika and I am right back with a new video on user defined functions. In the previous videos, you had seen about what are the various types of functions like built-in function, then functions inside a module, as well as user defined functions. Then we have also discussed how we can write the function definition of a user defined function, or we can say how we can write the function call. That means function definition and function calling statements are clear to you. Now in this video, what we are going to discuss is what is the difference between a function argument and function parameter, and at the same time how we can deal with the return values, various aspects, or you can say various points related to the return value of the function. So let us start. First of all, when we talk about arguments, see, argument is the terminology that is used for the values or the variables that are written in the function calling statement. That means when we are writing the calling statement, the values that we write within the parenthesis of the function, those are known as arguments or actual parameters, right? But the values that we write, the variables that we write in the function definition, that is the parenthesis of the function definition, those are known as parameters or formal arguments. Now the arguments can either be a literal, an expression, or a variable. That means the value that we mentioned in the calling statement, they can be either a literal or an expression or a variable. But the names that we write in the function definition, that means the parameters, they can only be a variable, right? Let us understand it with the help of example. Here I have written two functions. One is your product function and another is your greet function. Now the product function is taking two values, two variables a and b. Greet function is taking one variable s, and these are the function calling statement. This is the calling statement of product function, and in the last line there is a calling statement of greet function. Now the values that are written in the calling statement, that means these values 10 comma a as well as x, these are known as the arguments. Now these values, as you can see over here, I have written 10 comma a. So 10 is a literal and a is a variable, right? We can also write an expression also over here. But the values that are written in the function definition, that means these values a, b and s, these are known as parameters. So this is the main difference between argument and parameters. First thing, arguments are written in the function calling statement and parameters are written in the function definition. Secondly, argument can either be a literal or a variable or an expression, but parameter can only be a variable, right? Now talking about the return value, as we had already discussed in the previous videos, that a function has the capability to return one or more values. And when a function returns some value, it uses a keyword return, right? Return keyword is used. Now the values returned by the function, they can either be a literal, they can either be an expression or a variable. Let us see. See, here is a function large. Now this function is returning x. There is a function check. It is returning 1 or 0. Then there is a function square. It is returning c exponentiation 2. So this x is a variable. So the function is returning a variable over here. 1 and 0, these are literals. So the function is returning literal. And here c exponentiation 2, this is an expression. So you can notice over here that the function can return any of these type of values, right? Now it might happen that there is a function which contain the return keyword more than once. If a function definition contains the return keyword more than once, then also only one of the return statement will be actually executed. Because the moment return statement is encountered, the control will be transferred back to the calling statement. So it will not reach to the next return statement. Let us understand. See, this is a function large. In this function, I have written the return statement 2 times. But out of these, only one will be executed. Now, what will be executed? It will depend upon the condition. But even if I have not written any condition, then also, if suppose I have not written the condition if A greater than B, I simply had written return A, and in the next line I had written return B. Then also, the first return statement will send back the control to the calling statement, and the second return will never be executed. One more thing, that when a function returns a value, that value has to be accepted in some variable. If you do not accept the value returned by a function in any variable, that value is lost. It will not generate any error, but that value will simply be lost. See, I am calling the large function, and large function, since it is returning a value, so I am accepting that value in a variable L. Now this variable is storing the return value. So this is how you write when a function returns a value. It might happen that a function returns more than one values. So if a function returns more than one values, because this is possible in case of Python, that a function can return more than one values also. When a function returns more than one values and you accept all those values in the form of in a single variable, then that variable will be created as a tuple. Right? As you can see, I have written a function ABC, and this ABC function is returning 3 values. So I have written return x plus 10, this will be the first value, y plus 20, this will be the second value, and z plus 30, this will be the third value. So I am returning 3 values. Now when I am writing this statement ABC 10, 20, 30, I have written only one variable to receive all the 3 return values. So what will t be? T variable will be in the form of a tuple. So when I display t, see, the values will be displayed in the form of a tuple. But if you do not want that the tuple should be created, you want to receive different values in different variables. So another way of doing is, you can write more than one variable separated by comma before equal to. That means I have written a comma b comma c. That means the first value will be stored, return value will be stored in a, second return value will be stored in b, and third return value will be stored in c. So a will receive the value 20, B will receive the value 40, and C will receive the value 60. So when you will display it, so these are the values of the 3 variables. So when a function returns more than one values, you can either store all the values in a single variable in the form of a tuple, or you can give different variables. But you have to remember one thing, that if the function is returning 3 values, 3 variables are to be mentioned over here. If you will mention less number of variables or more number of variables, it will give you an error. Right? So with this, I come to the end of this video, and in the next video, I am going to discuss about the various forms of functions, like the void functions, non-void functions, and what are the variations of a function. So all these things we will cover in the next video. So do subscribe my channel so that whenever I upload my next video, you are intimidated at that very moment. So right now, that is all for this video. Thank you.